process.
That is what we were hoping to get done.
Both finalists for Aurora Police Chief now out of the mix.
I think the two finalists dropping out tell us a lot of things.
Community leaders optimistic as the city extends its search.
I think that the developments happen because the community stepped forward.
Tonight, they're pushing for a larger say in who gets the job.
What better way to use this as an opportunity to gain trust in the community?
It is back to the drawing board in the search for the next Aurora police chief.
Well, the city announced this evening that both of its two finalists are out. The city says David Franklin withdrew his application and that Scott Ebner didn't have enough support to move forward.
The hiring process has drawn criticism from the community ever since the finalists were announced 2 weeks ago.
Now, many have complained the public didn't have enough say in this and also questioned how a city as diverse as Aurora could have two white males as the finalists.
Well, Denver 7's Jessica Porter has been hearing from community leaders as the city starts this search all over again, Jess.
Community leaders now feeling a little more optimistic tonight, Anna and Shannon. And now community leaders have been voicing their concerns over the selection process for months now. Aurora is the most diverse city in Colorado. So these leaders feel the city's process did not produce enough diverse candidates for Aurora police chief. But more importantly, they are worried about a lack of transparency and input from community members in the hiring process. Candace Bailey, who is part of the community police task force, says the city manager has a responsibility to make the process more inclusive. She is happy the process is starting over and believes the city and the candidates caved to community pressure.
It took an agitator from community to call out one of the candidates, make him turn red in the head and address the idea you have done things that are racist and misogynistic in the community that you're in now in New Jersey. I believe we should be fully reinstated to begin the process in looking for a chief of police again, where we go through the interview process with the city.
Now, Aurora hired a search firm that specializes in diversity to find applicants. Aurora says they received 21 applications, and the initial pool included 7 candidates who are women and people of color. But the 3 finalists were white men. Joshua Jackson with the NAACP says there are Black-owned staffing agencies in Aurora that could have done a better job.
I have to just be blunt. It's completely asinine, right? I cannot even, to have a consulting firm from California picking an Aurora police chief makes no sense whatsoever for anyone involved. And again,
now, that community police task force hasn't been active since early 2021. And Candace Bailey says a major step the city of Aurora could take is reinstating the task force and inviting members to be part of the hiring process. Live in the studio, Jessica Porter, Denver 7.
Thank you, Jessica. And going deeper tonight, Aurora hired California-based public sector search and consulting to find candidates for that position. So we asked the city how much they paid that firm, and a spokesperson told us the city paid $58,000 plus additional expenses not to exceed $12,000. We also asked if the firm will be part of the hiring process moving forward, and we were told, quote, city management is currently assessing all the next steps in recruitment. And Denver 7 will stay on top of developments, as Aurora works through the next steps in hiring a police chief. We will have the latest for you on air, online, and on our free Denver 7 Plus app.
Jeffco school parents banding together, asking the school board to rethink plans to close more than a dozen elementary schools.
The school board's set to vote on that proposal next month, and Denver 7's Colette Bordelon talked with parents tonight, pressing to keep some of these schools open. Colette?
They want to keep some of them open, and the people at the meeting tonight do admit there are likely some schools that could close right away. But they believe there's room for a kind of graduated plan, one that doesn't close all 16 schools in one fell swoop.
Hi, guys. It's a packed PTA meeting for Color Strand Elementary School.
We have a huge list of people who want to get involved.
Because what they're talking about on Tuesday,
we have a month until the Jeffco vote,
is getting closer and closer.
I get that there's a shortfall, but I think closing 16 at one time is a huge undertaking.
That's the plan being considered by the Jeffco Board of Education, closing 16 of the district's 85 elementary schools, saying the number of school-age children in the community has been declining for the last 2 decades.
We have capacity in Jeffco Public Schools to serve 96,000 students, and we currently have about 69,000 students enrolled. So we have a lot of excess capacity.
That extra space has those with Jeffco schools saying their resources are spread too thin for the educational experience they'd like to provide.
there's not a single community member at any of these 16 schools that are being recommended for closure and consolidation that want their school to close. Nobody wants to close schools.
Something seen in parents at the meeting in Wheat Ridge.
Pretty alarming statistics in terms of the inequity around this decision in terms of the schools that are closed.
Doing everything they can, like sending these letters to the school board, hoping the plan will be reevaluated.
Even if we can change a few of their minds, that's really what we're trying to do.
Saying there has to be another way to look at this.
I've been with Color Sharon for a while. I don't want to leave it, even though I've 1 year left.
Trying to keep their kids at the schools they've grown to love.
The school board is scheduled to vote on the recommendation November 10th. It'll be a vote on the total package of 16 schools. If it's approved, all of the schools will stay open for this upcoming school year and would be closed by the next one. Live in the studio, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
All right, Colette, thank you. And also happening at that November 10th board meeting, a vote to start Phase 2. Now that will focus on secondary schools. That will include K through 8. Now, Phase 2 is expected to begin in January for recommended closures in the fall of 2023. And digging into how Jeffco decided which schools could close, I looked into it, found multiple criteria used. Some included looking at which schools had enrollment of fewer than 220 students, whether a school is using 45% or less of its capacity, and whether there is another school less than 3.5 miles away that can absorb the students from the schools that close.
And this is really an issue that impacts more than just Jeffco. I researched Denver Public Schools Declining Enrollment Advisory Committee, founded last school year. And DPS says its enrollment has dropped by 3,600 students between 2019 and 2021. And the district is using 3 criteria to determine potential candidates for consolidation. Criteria 1 identifies schools with critically low enrollment. Criteria 2 identifies schools with low enrollment that are projected to decline. And the third applies to charter schools and identifies those not financially solvent. And schools could be identified this school year, but closures wouldn't happen until the end of next school year.
The Twitter stock price surged more than 22% today after Elon Musk announced that he will, after all, go ahead with the acquisition of the social media company. For months, the Tesla CEO tried to back out of the $44 billion sale, setting off a legal battle. So this deal would avoid a messy trial set to begin later this month.
Ah, yes, Wall Street, a banner day as the Dow climbs more than 800 points and the S&P ends its best day in more than 2 years. It was a rough September. The markets have rallied the past 2 days as investors look for signs that the Federal Reserve could ease up on rate hikes designed to curb inflation.
Broncos country, let's not panic.
We're right in striking distance. We got them right where we want them.
Why Russell Wilson believes the Broncos have everything it takes to get back on track against the Colts. Thursday night right here on Denver 7.
Hard to beat temperatures like these. We have more on the way. I'll let you know what to expect Thursday night for the Bronco game.
Plus, celebrating a trailblazer on his 102nd birthday.
Even though you have many barriers in your life, you can overcome those, and he's proof of that.